तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणि निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणि। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। Everyone with their hands in the air, loudly together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namah. So with the blessings of the assembled Vaishnavas and guests present, when I asked Shantavika Prabhu what I should speak on, he said anything. So when he told me anything, I'm usually accustomed to asking Pita, what should I say? So I still went and asked Pita, what should I say? And he said I should share something from Ramayana, and that is what I will do, based on the orders of the senior devotees. There are very many different versions of the Sri Ramayana written by great devotees. And especially in the Caribbean, the Sri Ramcharitmanas is very popular. There's of course the Valmiki Ramayana, which is the standard version of Sri Ramayana. There's also Kamba Ramayana and many others. While the Sri Valmiki Ramayana is regarded as the standard and most authoritative version of the Sri Ramayana, the Sri Ramcharitmanas gives us some sweet nuances to the pastimes in the form of its wonderful language in the Chaupais and Dohas written by Sri Tulsidas Ji. We will sing a few of those Chaupais today, and I humbly beg that everyone please participate as much as possible by singing along. The humble request is Grace Varun Prabhu to please play Mridanga. When I saw Varun Prabhu here, I feel as if I'm in Hare Krishna Study Center for some reason. That's a very controversial topic. Sorry, motherfucker. In the Sri Ramcharitmanas, in the beginning, Sri Tulsidas Ji begins by glorifying Sri Guru. His Grace Sri Vilas Prabhu shares when describing the Sri Hanuman Chalisa. The beginning of the Hanuman Chalisa is Sri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nijamana Mukura Sudhari Varanao Raghuvara Vimala Jasu Jodayaku Palachari. It begins by Sri Guru Charana Saroja Raja. That is why before we begin any glorifying Sri Krishna, Sri Mahaprabhu, Srimati Radharani, and Sri Ramachandra and the various avatars of the Lord, we begin by Om Jnana or Mangalacharana prayers. But in this Sri Hanuman Chalisa, a very wonderful message is sent. When Tulsidas Ji says Sri Guru Charana Saroja Raja, Sri Vilas Prabhu shares Sri Guru Charana Saroja. What does Sri Guru Charana Saroja mean? It means the dust of the lotus feet of Sri Guru. Nija Mana Mukura Sudhari. What does it mean? It cleans my mind. But our Vaishnavacharyas give an even deeper purport. It is said, we know in the Sri Brahma Samhita, there's a beautiful verse, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santas Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. So Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. So those whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of love, they can begin to see Krishna. But what is the ointment of love? It is said, if we take the dust, may not be literally, but if we take the dust of the lotus feet of Sri Guru and sprinkle it in our eyes, that becomes the ointment by which we can begin to see Krishna. It is only by the mercy of Guru that is possible. Then, Tulsidas Ji begins to glorify Lord Shiva and other great Vaishnavas. Then he pays respects to Sri Ramachandra and Mother Sita. Ram Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Siya Ram. Species of life that are present within this universe, or the entire creation, all of those living entities, mother and father, our mother, eternal mother and father, are Mother Sita and Sri Ramachandra, and therefore we pay respects unto them. Then he says something very amazing. Ram Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. Sri Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He is unlimited. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, He has no beginning, middle, or end. Then, if the Lord is unlimited, then definitely His activities are unlimited. Therefore, Hari Katha Ananta. Kahahi Sunahi Bahuvidi Savasanta. Great personalities, great devotees, glorifying those pastimes and features of the Lord in various ways. And in every cycle, he says, Ramachandra ke charita suhai, kalpa koti lagi jai na jai. That thousands of yugas may come and go, but the glorification of Sri Ramachandra and Sri Krishna will remain immortal. And that the Lord specifically comes. He specifically incarnates for us. And especially in the form of Sri Ramachandra, we know that Sri Ramachandra is called Maryada Purushottam. Meaning that he came to teach us how to live and fulfill all our duties, our various roles and responsibilities to the best of our ability. In the Sri Valmiki Ramayana, Valmiki wonderfully describes how Lord Ramachandra fulfills all of those responsibilities, more so in the Valmiki Ramayana than in the Sri Ramcharitmanas. But those responsibilities and duties that Lord Ramachandra came to teach us is just like when we have, just like Archita is still small, she's now learning to walk. We'll hold her hand and we'll walk along the path. And sometimes we'll fall. Similarly, the Lord appears, just like that, just like a loving father, to hold our hands and show us what we need to do, what we don't need to do. He does this as Lord Ramachandra, and he also does this in the form of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, teaching us what actual Vaishnavas, what we should be as how we should be as Vaishnavas. And therefore, the pastimes of Sri Ramachandra are especially wonderful. And there's one such pastime that I'd like to focus on tonight. That is the pastime of Sabhari. This pastime is very popular. I'm sure everybody knows this pastime. Who here does not know the pastime of Sabhari? Please show by raising your hands. Just a few people. That means I can ask Gopal to come and give the class now. Or Varun Pro. Pachitatu Mataji, during Gaurakatha this year, we had the good fortune of hearing from Varun Pro. He does very wonderful presentations. You should capitalize on him. I'll send you the recording. I actually have. You have to capitalize before he leaves. This pastime of Sabhari is a very touching one. And it teaches us, as Vaishnavas, at least three very important lessons, how we should live. Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Instruction, the Upadesh Amrita, he tells us Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairya, three qualities. He tells us more qualities, but we'll just focus on those three. Utsahan means, please don't be shy. Enthusiasm. Thank you very much, bro. Nishchaya means determination. And Dhairya means patience. So these three qualities go hand in hand. They are linked to one another. They're like a chain that links, that is linked together. And it is amazing, Gauranga Prabhu highlights, it is amazing the way, it is not like a haphazard thing that Sri Rupa Goswami just said in this order specifically, in enthusiasm, determination, and patience. He says it intentionally. Why? Because if we're too enthusiastic, we don't have determination and patience, then after 2 or 3 days, it's gone. Right? That usually happens. You're excited about something for 2 days, and then after that, no more excitement. But if we are too patient, then we become complacent. I'm tempted to speak in Creoles, but please forgive me if Creoles accidentally comes out, right? Guys, Creoles. But in the middle, Srila Rupa Goswami says something he puts a very important link. He puts the link of determination. That is what connects patience and enthusiasm together. Because as you said, if we're too enthusiastic, then after a few days we fizzle out. If we're too patient, then we become complacent in our devotional service. But if we have determination, that determination drives us and keeps that enthusiasm and patience going. And the embodiment of these three qualities is exactly Sabhari Mata. The story of Sabhari begins way before her birth as Sabhari. Actually, Sabhari isn't actually her name. Sabhari is just the name of the class of people that she belongs to. So we don't know her actual name. In her previous life, she was a princess. And we know back then how princesses, and especially esteemed women in society, were carried in palanquins. People, especially men, weren't allowed to look on those women. That is how respected they were. So anywhere she goes, she would have a whole entourage of people, and palanquin and everything going with her. So she always wanted to go on Tirthayatra, go on pilgrimage, by herself, without attracting any attention. Just go and serve the devotees, hear from them. But that would not be possible because of her, her status in society. Everybody would flock around her. You can imagine princesses going around everybody, looking and seeing. Anybody here has been to India, and it happens even here. You see in news channels, the camera is there, and there's someone in the back looking on, in the camera frame, right? So you can imagine what it was for her. She couldn't engage in devotional service as she liked. So her wish was that in her next life, I wish to be born in a family without all of this royal treatment. I just want to be born in a simple, humble family that I can get to hear about the Lord and serve His devotees nicely. And just see, due to that wish, she was born in the family of forest dwellers who had a practice of eating forest meat. They would hunt for their meat and so on. In that birth, as in the family of forest dwellers, it came time for her wedding. And she decided, she really didn't want to get married, but family was pressuring her and this and that. So it was the night before her wedding. And she looked out her window, and what did she see? A bunch of goats and other animals tied and laid out. And she's wondering, why are all these animals here? So she asked, why are these animals here? Oh, that's for your wedding tomorrow. She couldn't believe it. All of these animals are to be killed in the name of my wedding. I don't want this. So in the night, when everybody was sleeping, she went and she untied all of the animals and told them, you get away from here. And those animals actually blessed her. They said, within this life itself, you'll be freed. Just like you freed us from these shackles, from these chains, you'll be freed from the cycle of birth and death within the same life. And so she ran away from home in the dead of night. And she didn't know where to go. She ended up eventually at the ashram of Matanga Rishi. But we know at the ashrams of the sages, there are hardly any women, if any. And she was a bit shy or afraid to go because of her caste, her status in the social order. Fearing that the sages would not want to associate with her. She was basically termed as an untouchable. So what would she do to gain entrance into that service? She saw Matanga Rishi from afar and felt immediately that this person has to be my spiritual master. And she dedicated her life to that service. So what did she do? And it's interesting how her mind was working. What it is that she thought about. Just like going off tangent for a second. When we hear the pastime of Vamanadev and Bali Maharaj saying, put that third footstep upon my head. We hear that pastime so many times, it means nothing to us sometimes, at least for me. I've heard it so many times, sometimes we take it for granted. But it's not a simple thing for somebody to put their foot on the head of a king. Just like, it's hard to even think that somebody would think about this. Nobody here would ever dream about putting their feet on the head of the Murti of the Lord. Right? We agree? Similarly, nobody would dream of putting their foot on the head of the king. And in those days, kings of demoniac stature, born in the family that Bali Maharaj was born in, would never think of something like that. That wouldn't be their first thought. But immediately, Bali Maharaj's response was, put your foot upon my head. Just see his surrender. Similarly, just see the mood Sabhari had. When the sages would go to bed, and she's convinced that they were sleeping, she would go and clean the entire ashram. And dab it with cow dung, get all the wood, stack it at the yagya places, get everything ready, and clean it nicely for the next morning. Then when the sages would wake up, they would be wondering, wait, the first day they woke up, they wondered, wait, who did all this? And they're asking around, you did this? No, you did this? And nobody knew who did it. But they were happy. You imagine, Varun Prabhu, you're staying in the temple, and Panchatattva Mataji tell you, or let's go to HKSC. While he was at HKSC, Mataji, I'm sorry for targeting Varun Prabhu, but his main service was washing the temple, not sweeping and mopping, washing the temple room. So imagine, Prabhu told Varun that you're to wash the temple room once every week. And the day that he was supposed to wash the temple room, he goes down and it was already washed. At least I know my response would be, hey, thank God. Right? We're not gonna do that. So the sages had a similar response. Right? You know what? I don't have to go and look for the wood. I don't have to go and dab the ashram and everything. 2 or 3 days passed, and Matanga Rishi called his disciples. Do any one of you know who's doing this service? They said no, but what does it matter? It's nice service. Right? We don't have to do much. So Matanga Rishi said something interesting. He said, you better find out who that person is, because you're accepting their service. And 2 things will happen. 1, all of the credit of your devotional service will go on to that person. And secondly, you'll lose all your piety because you'll gain attachment to that service and that person, whoever it is that is doing that. And you'll lose all your pious credits. So you should find immediately. So the sages set out to find who this person is. So during next morning, Sabhari had no idea, and they caught her and they brought her to Matanga Rishi, saying that this is the woman that is doing this service. So Matanga Rishi accepted her as his disciple. She told him her story and everything, and he accepted her as his disciple. She continued serving. I'm skipping over many details, but she continued serving, and after some time, I want you to just imagine that you are Sabhari. Imagine that you're part of a class of people that is looked down upon in society. Nobody wants to even see your face. Right? You finally have gotten shelter under a spiritual master who you didn't even think would give you shelter in the first place. So you're extremely grateful that you've gotten shelter and you're getting to do such wonderful service directly to your spiritual master. One day, your spiritual master decides to take all of your other god brothers, everybody else except you, and say, we're going back to Vaikuntha. We're going to the higher planetary systems. You stay back. How would you feel? I know I wouldn't feel all that wonderful, given my background as, a low-class person, so to speak. We can imagine how Sabhari felt. Sabhari was like, please take me too. He says, no, wait here. That one day Sri Ramachandra will come. Serve him and then you'll come to me. Note what Matanga Rishi said. He didn't say when, but such and such date. He said one day. And Sabhari by that time was already very elderly by age. And for almost 13 plus years, Sabhari, an elderly woman, those of us present in the audience who are elderly in age may relate to this pastime better than me. I've heard that when old age comes, various pains and aches come. Yeah? I'm not picking my name, I'm just saying, for the sake of the pastor. Various pains and aches come along with old age. But Sabhari would every day get up in the morning, go to the forest, pick the best fruits, the best flowers, string all of that together into wonderful garlands and have the fruits ready, dab her entire ashram every day because she didn't know when Lord Ramachandra would come. Suppose he comes now and I didn't clean. So she had to make sure that it is always clean, 24/7. And it's always ready, that one day the Lord will come. She didn't know when. And she did that every single day. Not only that, she never slept inside the hut. She slept at the gateway of the hermitage. Why? Because suppose Lord Ramachandra comes in the night and he walks past and I miss it. This was the extent of her service and dedication. Not because she wanted to see the Lord, but because her spiritual master told her to wait and serve the Lord when he comes. And we'll see that it's actually not so much about her seeing the Lord as much as it is about serving her spiritual master's orders. So one day, Lord Ramachandra does come, along with Lakshman. And when he arrives, here's a beautiful chaupai. Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. One day, Lord Ramachandra came to the home of Sabhari. Muni ke bachna samuji jiyabai. That she eventually, now she understood what her spiritual master was saying. And the Lord was absolutely amazing. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram. Sarasi Nalochana, Bahu Vishala, Jata Mukutta Sira Ugadanamala. Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, 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 Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sarasija Lochana Bahu Vishala. Their eyes were so wonderful. It is as if an ocean of compassion was present within them. Bahu Vishala, their long arms extended to their knees. Jata Mukutta Sira Urabanamala. Their hairs were matted, and around their necks were long garlands of forest flowers. Sham Gaura Sundara Dobai. Of course, Sri Valmiki says that Lord Ramachandra's complexion is emerald green with a tinge of gold. Tulsidaji describes here Sham, the dark forms, Sham and dark and fair forms, Sham Gaura Sundara Dobai. The beautiful dark and fair forms of those two brothers. Who is the dark one? Lord Ramachandra. And the fair one is Lakshman. Sabhari Pari Charana Lapatai. Sabhari immediately falls at the lotus feet of Sri Ramachandra, and she bathes his lotus feet with her tears. She looks up at the Lord the Lord pulls her up and she says, "Now I understand what it is that my spiritual master was telling me. After all of these years, the wait was worth it, because seeing your face is the most beautiful thing in the world." Then we know the pastime of how she takes them into the ashram and she feeds them some berries. Of course, some versions of the Ramayana says she first tastes the berries and then give Lord Ramachandra. Valmiki doesn't say this because it is hard to imagine that somebody would bite the berries and then give it to Lord Ramachandra. But still, our Vaishnavacharyas share an interesting commentary to this pastime. Even if it is that Sabhari bit those berries and fed Lord Sri Ramachandra, we know in Srimad Bhagavatam who is the personality who exemplified the aspect of devotional service, of worship, of archana. Who signified that? Maharaj Prithu, I think, right? Maharaj Prithu. But in Sri Ramayana, Sabhari actually symbolizes the height of archanam or deity worship. Now you might think, if it is that she bit those berries, does anyone here first taste their food and then offer it to the deities? No, we offer it to the deities and then taste it. So Vaishnavacharyas say that she was so immersed in chanting the names of the Lord on her tongue that it said when we chant the holy names of the Lord is dancing on our tongue. That basically Lord Ramachandra is present in her mouth. When she bit it, she was giving the Lord Ramachandra inside. When she gave Lord Ramachandra to eat, is giving the Lord Ramachandra outside. So there is nothing wrong in her biting the berries. But that is just another explanation. After serving Lord Ramachandra, actually there is one more thing that actually this is amazing from this pastime. If it is also that she bit those berries, Lakshman at that time, he was standing behind Lord Ramachandra and he was getting kind of anxious and angry. How can you even think of eating it and then feeding my brother? He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can you do something like this? So he never took any of the berries. We know later on in the battle in Lanka, Lakshman was wounded by the arrow of Indrajit and he fell unconscious. But it wasn't just Lakshman. Indrajit shot those arrows at both Ramachandra and Lakshman. But nothing happened to Lord Ramachandra. Why? Our Vaishnavas Acharyas say it is due to Lord Ramachandra eating those berries of Sabhari and Lakshman not eating those berries. Just see how much the Lord reciprocates with the love of his devotees. Now we shouldn't artificially try to imitate this. The mood of Sabhari is absolutely amazing. After Mother Sabhari, she serves the Lord like this. She asks the Lord for something amazing. She says, "Now that I've served you, O Lord," what do you think she asks? "I'm willing to go, fill in the blanks, please." What do you think she asks for? Shantapika Prabhu is cheating. He knows the story nicely. Usually, we would ask, "Please take me back to Godhead." Right? But she doesn't ask to go back to Vaikuntha or Ayodhya or Golok. No. She asks, "Allow me to return to the shelter of my spiritual master, return to his service." This is the dedication that she had to fulfilling the instructions of her spiritual master. It is taught to us in the pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we are no one to approach Krishna directly. That is why we're linked through parampara. Our identity, we don't have any individual identity. We're identified by our spiritual masters. By their strength, we're able to approach Krishna. By their mercy, we're able to approach Krishna. But it is also only by Krishna's mercy that we can approach those wonderful spiritual masters. So it's described, it's like a cycle. Krishna gives the mercy so that you get the mercy of the spiritual master, and the spiritual master gives you the mercy to go to Krishna. So this pastime of Sabhari is an absolutely amazing one for us as devotees, among many other pastimes in the Sri Ramayana. This one shows us wonderfully how to maintain our enthusiasm. You can imagine for 13 years, almost every single day, getting up and doing the same thing. Govind Prabhu from Chowpatty, he asked once, when he was in Guyana, he asked me once, what do you think is the definition of Krishna consciousness? Anybody would like to share the definition of Krishna consciousness? I mean, there can be so many definitions, but anybody would like to guess what is the definition that he gave?
Chant, dance, and take prasad.
Chant, dance, and take prasad, that's correct. But he said, Krishna consciousness means doing the same thing every day. We're doing the same thing every day. Getting up, Mangalarti, chanting Hare Krishna, eating prasadam, serving the spiritual master. But just like Krishna is Navayovana, he's ever fresh. The process of devotional service is also ever fresh. So although Sabhari was doing the same thing every day, preparing for the Lord, she never faltered in her enthusiasm. She remained determined that, I must follow the orders of my spiritual master. And she was patient. She said one day, in one lecture, Srila Prabhupada, in a Radhashtami lecture, he shares that actually, when as beginner devotees, when we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, although Hare refers to the internal energy, Srimati Radharani, if we aren't pure, then that Hare refers to Lakshmi Narayan. Hare Krishna refers to Lakshmi Narayan. When we become pure, then Radha and Krishna reveal themselves to us. But he uses a very wonderful word. He says, gradually, when we become pure. And Srila Prabhupada, if you listen to the lecture, he stresses on the word gradually. Gradually, when we become pure, we begin to realize beautiful forms of Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan within our hearts. So if we can learn from great devotees like Sabhari and other great Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis within our tradition, and follow the principles that they are teaching us by their own personal example, by following in their footsteps, and hopefully one day we can fulfill the instructions of our spiritual masters, and in the process get darshan of Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan and Shri Shri Sachinandan Gaura Hari. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If there are any comments or corrections, please share. Any additions or subtractions?
Just reflecting on.
I was just thinking, that how much we are blessed, in Srila Prabhupada, in this society, created with elements for inspiration. They say, if you don't have inspiration, there will be a lot of perspiration. It'll be like hard work. But in this society, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, he has provided so much sangha, so much association. Just like your presence here. It's just like a blessing to us. So in this society, similarly, we have so much by Srila Prabhupada's mercy to help us to maintain enthusiasm and determination, and also to maintain the patience. But it's just that we need to really take advantage. But Prabhupada has really provided a lot in this society. So thank you very much for that illuminating presentation. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
I was just thinking, like, to add to Govinda Prabhu's definition of Krishna consciousness, doing the same thing every day, but experiencing new and newer tastes doing it.
That is true. Anything else from anybody else? Any additions, subtractions, comments? Ajay,
I was thinking on the point you said when parampara, of course, starting with the, you explained it very nicely, that the Guru gives us Krishna, you know, and it's like full circle. So our perfection is that, you know, we follow the instructions of the spiritual master, and by doing so, everything is accomplished and achieved. So this pastime, you know, kind of helps us more to understand them. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Anybody else? Anything? If not, we'll go for Arati. Shri Gaura Arati. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.